Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Objectivist Girl Live. So today we have on Marsha Enright again, and we are so lucky to have her back because she really is an expert in the field of objectivism. And so today we're going to talk about purpose because I'm about to release a video on productiveness. And purpose is the core value of productiveness. And so we want to kind of go over productiveness again in greater depth. That way you guys can understand what the basis of productiveness is when I release my videos. So go ahead and say hi to Marsha Enright. How are you doing today, Marsha?
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me on.
Of course, we love having you on. You got such a great response from my audience last time. They absolutely loved you. I got a lot of messages about how they learned a lot from your stuff and how it was great having two objectivist women kind of talk about things.
Oh, I'm glad to
And
know that.
yeah, it was really cool. I think a lot of people don't realize that there is quite a few women in this movement. I think that most people think it's just a bunch of men. So it's great for
Well,
them.
they are high profile.
They are what?
They are high profile.
They are very high profile. I mean, you've got, Leonard Peikoff and, of course, David Kelly and, that whole war going on. But it's great to see some open-minded and are active-minded women in this movement that are kind of leading it and at the forefront. And it really inspires a lot of other individuals, especially women, to kind of take a look into objectivism and see what it is that is available for them. And I think it's very inspiring for people. So
Good.
So today we're going to talk about purpose, and I guess the first question, first of all, I want to go over what Ayn Rand's definition is for purpose. And so she says that productive work is the central purpose of a rational man's life, the central value that integrates and determines the hierarchy of all his other values, and reason is the source, the precondition of his productive work, and pride is the result. And I think this is a pretty thorough definition. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a very interesting definition because it connects back to the whole idea of why is productive work important to man, and the fact that human beings are a different kind of animal than the other animals in the world, because we don't just adapt to the environment, we adapt the environment to us, and we do that through productive work, and we're able to do that because of our ability to reason. You know, as I mentioned in the other show, human beings are born weak. We have no tooth or claw or any apparent physical specialties, and yet we are basically ruling the other animals. So how do we do that? It's because we're able to reason.
Absolutely. Being sentient is definitely something that is unique to our particular species. And it's great. I mean, isn't it awesome that we have the capability to be able to think. It allows our species to grow and to develop and to create technology. And being sentient, I think a lot of people don't step back and appreciate what a great and awesome thing it is to be able to think. Isn't that, I mean, is that just me?
Oh, no, our ability to reason, I mean, think of the things that people have been able to create because of it. I mean, here we are, this weak, little, soft kind of being, and yet we're able to go into space. We're able to go to the moon. We're able to go to the bottom of the ocean. It's just amazing what we're able to because of reasoning.
Agreed. And a lot of people don't realize how amazing they really are. And this, being productive and being able to move towards a purpose in your life is really the best part of being sentient and being able to think and reason. And this is a big step for people, is to move from just basic thoughts to actually purpose, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, it's very clear that psychologically human beings need purpose. I mean, if you think about it, the basis, the essence of being alive is being goal-oriented. You're always trying to either maintain yourself or advance yourself. I mean, that's what all living things are doing. And so purpose is the conscious attempt to go towards goals. And human beings that aren't purposeful are usually very unhappy. They, in fact, I think a lot of drug use, very, very heavy drug use, of criminal behavior, of all kinds of things like that, are because a person doesn't have a productive purpose.
Exactly, because they can't develop pride, and that's the end goal is pride. And Ayn Rand talked about happiness, and a big portion of happiness is that pride. And pride can only come from a man of purpose. And so I guess really the first question I'd have for you is, so what does it mean to say that reason is the basis of productive work? Because I think that's the first question that my audience would really have.
Well, I'd go back to what I said, that because we adapt the world to ourselves, and we're able to do that through reason, productive work is the way in which we adapt the world to ourselves. And each person needs to find, first of all, each person needs to find a way to support themselves and get the things that they need in order to stay alive. But even more than that, to attain a kind of ongoing happiness, it's important for each person to find a purpose in life, a productive purpose, where they feel that they're able to create new value and change the world because of it. And it can be something as simple as being the best janitor in their building and keeping their building really, really clean, or it could be something like creating a totally new piece of technology, or a new philosophy, or a new piece of music. It could be something as complicated as that.
Yes, and I think a lot of people don't realize that Ayn Rand did appreciate all of the different jobs that needed to be done in the society. And I think that a lot of people think that Ayn Rand looked down on people that were janitors or, garbage, the people that come around and grab the garbage, and, all of those people. And I think that they thought she looked down on that, and I don't think that's true at all. What do you think?
No, she thought that if a person was trying their best, whatever their level of ability and their circumstances, to be productive, to take care of themselves, to be self-reliant, and to do their job as best as they can, that they were somebody to be admired. I mean, the reason why people get confused about that is one of the themes of Atlas Shrugged is that it's not right for other people of lesser ability to control and enslave the people of greater ability who actually make life possible for the people of lesser ability, in the sense that, I mean, those people of lesser ability could be alive, but they wouldn't have all of the fabulous creations and advancements that we have today if it weren't for the people of greater ability. Mm-hmm. So it's not right to enslave them in order to control them and get what you want from them.
Now, why do you think it was that Ayn Rand chose to leave Eddie Willers in Maine society and didn't bring him to the Gulch? Because I believe that he was a productive individual, and that he had purpose, but he wasn't as talented. So I was just wondering, because that's really where people differ when they talk about this. Ayn Rand didn't appreciate the small people that make the full machine work, and you have to appreciate all of the pieces and parts of a machine. And Eddie was a huge part, and he really helped Dagny. And without him, I don't think Dagny would have been so successful, because she needed him to keep track of certain things so that she could operate on the level that she did.
Yeah, I mean, he's seen as a lesser character, mm-hmm. a person of lesser ability in the book, but if you think about him in a realistic sense, he's a very high-level executive.
Yes.
So he's quite productive. But now, I haven't read the book in a while, so I may be remembering this wrong, but I think what happens is that he's not ready. He still thinks that he should be out there trying to fix things, and he's not ready. And so if I recall, I think one of the points is that a person like that wouldn't quite understand what was going on, and would still want to cooperate with the people who were enslaving people. But remember, on the other hand, everybody talks as if Eddie Willers is being left out in the desert and he's going to die. But the fact of the matter is that in the course of the book, right after Eddie's left there, it's soon after that they're going back to the world.
Yes.
So I mean, that's the funny thing. I was recently talking to an ethics club at Universidad Francisco Marroquín about Ayn Rand's idea of individualism versus Aristotle's idea of politics and of community. And this club had the idea that she thought that, people who followed her radical individualism would just want to be living these isolated lives. And I pointed out that, well, if you look at the course of Atlas Shrugged, first of all, they want to live in community, and that's why they've created Gulch Gulch. They want to live with other people that they can share values with, and they don't want to just stay there. They're just waiting for the bad situation to collapse so they can go back to the world. And they want to exist in the greater world. So they do want to be a part of the greater human community.
Right. I actually wrote, and I believe I wrote an article on, because I'd gotten a lot of criticism about objectivism, that objectivism is anti-community. And it's not at all. There's some really great arguments to be made that, we can understand and appreciate the value of community. It's just that we would like to choose who we want in our personal community. We want productive members that better our lives and better our trades, instead of just, appreciating anybody at any level. Because, as she spoke about love, if you just selflessly love people and you just love anybody, then is your love of any true value? And so our community needs to be of true value, and we want to see a society where our community is something that builds us up and brings us up to a higher level, and we all work together to go up to a higher level. It's not anti-community at all. It's just unproductive community. It really all boils down to the productiveness.
Well, I think you hit on it when you said that you want to be able to choose who you have in your community. And so that means you want to be left free enough that you're not going to be interfered with by people who don't share your values.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And so I think that a lot of people would really like to know how an objectivist or someone wanting to live ethically as an objectivist would determine if they're really engaging in productive work. Because I think that a lot of people are like, I'm not really sure what productive work is. These objectivists, they have all these definitions for things that are different than everybody else's. What does productive work look like, Marsha?
Well, I've known a lot of people confused about that, including objectivists. And one of the confusions is they think that productive work always has to be work that in which you earn money. Mm-hmm. But that's not always the case. I mean, sometimes you're working on something that other people don't realize is valuable yet. And mm-hmm. But it can be very, very productive in the sense that you're creating value. You're creating a new idea that's going to help people live better, or you're creating a new business that is going to produce products that people can use, or you're creating a new artwork or a new machine. And people don't always recognize that it's of value. In fact, it was interesting. I was in a discussion about art recently, and they were mentioning that Van Gogh was not recognized very much in his lifetime mm-hmm. as a great artist, and it was only after that after he died, that he was recognized as a great artist. And so, what did that mean about his actual value? And the economist in the the price of his things was zero or very low, so he wasn't being valued very much, so his value was low. But if you think about it from a wider perspective of, did he create something that was new and startlingly different and brought the human mind to a different level of awareness, then he did do that, and it just took other people a while to understand it. So everyone who's trying to decide whether they're doing something productive, it's hard to know sometimes when you're doing something creative, but in the big picture, you have to ask yourself the question, am I creating something of value that's going to bring human life to a new level? And it can be something as small as, it can be something as local as, you're a person who goes to a nursing home and you talk to the people there and you help them enjoy their lives more than they would otherwise. I mean, if that's your interest, that's doing something productive. Or it could be something as creating a new product and making a whole new business around it.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Entrepreneurs definitely come to mind in this instance. A lot of, I'm sure, I wish I knew a little bit more about the history of Tesla, and it's something that I want to look into. But I'm sure when Elon Musk was creating Tesla motors, I'm sure no one went, "This is genius," the minute that they heard about it. They were like, "This guy, I don't know." That's how most entrepreneurs start out. And
Right.
Ayn Rand's material was seen as very radical in her time. She didn't have nearly as much of a following as she does right now. People love her now. Her book is the second most influential book in the world, and we're not going to talk about the first because, well, you know what the first one is. But I think that it's about something that is going to result in your pride, and that's what I look at as productive work. Can you ask yourself, is this, when I am finished with my work, when I have brought it to its full fruition, is it going to bring me pride? And I think that that's the defining quality of what productive work is. What do you think?
Well, I think that you bring up something that reminds me of Aristotle's ethics, which is that the highest form of living is to pursue excellence, and excellence in whatever you do. And pride is a result of having produced something that's excellent. Mm-hmm. So, yes, I think that's very important. And I was thinking also about how to decide whether something's productive or not. And I think you have to measure it based on, well, what are real human needs? There's many, many real human needs. And if you're doing something that fulfills a real human need, then you're being productive.
Yes.
And if you're doing it the best way possible, then you're doing it excellently. And or the best way you know how, then you're doing it excellently. And you can be proud of what you're doing.
Yes, and I think that a lot of people, and I think this comes from misguidance of what objectivism is, but a lot of people would listen to this conversation and they would think, well, isn't that altruistic? Isn't that, living for other people if you're trying to better the human society? But I think that the response I would give to that is, don't you want to live in a better society overall so that you're able to benefit from all of the good things that come from raising everyone up at the same time? Because if everybody's living on a better level, then those menial jobs will be unnecessary, and everyone is forced to pursue more intellectual jobs, and therefore you're seeing more producers and entrepreneurs and engineers and those sort of things that better our society as a whole. So when the society benefits, it's perfectly selfish to want your society to grow as a whole, because you're seeing the ability for people like Elon Musk to come around, because if the people before him hadn't brought up the society, he wouldn't have been able to make Tesla motors.
Right, yeah. Well, the fact of the matter is that we're very social beings. Yes. And a lot of the value that we get A lot of the value to us, a lot of pleasure to each human being has to do with our interactions with other people. And there's a lot of things that we can't make just on our own or just for ourselves. A division of labor society is about being much more specialized than what you'd have to be if you made everything for your own life. So that's why in a division of labor society, you're always thinking about, well, what do other people need and how can I fulfill those needs? But your purpose is to both exercise your own powers and support your own life by your productivity. Those are your two primary purposes, and the result is that you're doing something that's very valuable for other people because you want to trade with them.
Right. I agree. I mean, it comes right back to that idea that objectivism is not anti-community. If anything, it's pro-community. Objectivists understand that to better the community is to better their own lives, and they want to live in productive communities, so they're constantly thinking, how can I create a product that will make life easier and society better? That way I can live in the kind of society that I would want to live in and be involved with the kind of, have this kind of mutually beneficial voluntary exchanges. And so I want to go back to pride, because that's something that we talked about a few times. And I think a lot of people are really confused on what pride is and really why productive work would bring one pride. So first of all, what is pride, and why does productive work bring pride versus other things?
Well, pride is the sense that you have lived well, you've lived according to your values, you've exercised your abilities to their utmost, and you're satisfied with yourself because of that. And I'm sorry, why does productive work bring that? Is that what you asked?
Yeah. Why does productive work create pride in someone versus anything else in life? Why productive work over everything else?
Well, think about it. With productive work, you're doing one of the most basic and important. You're pursuing one of the basic and most important activities in life, which is you are supporting your own life. You're maintaining your own life. And so if you can do that well, then you have a lot to feel good about yourself.
Agreed. I think that's really the main central point, is that when you are supporting your own life, it gives you a sense of pride, but it's difficult to describe what it is, but it's this, I don't want to say feeling, but it's this sense of life, it's this sense of ability that other people can't really grasp unless they're at that level. It's this joy, it's this integration of all things in life that just come together because you are able to maintain everything in your life. And what is better than being able to say, even if you have other people in your life, you're married, you have children, and you have other things that you enjoy in your life and other people you enjoy in your life, you realize that even without those things, you're perfectly capable of sustaining and maintaining and even thriving in this society. I think that there's really no better reward for life, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's definitely a feeling. It's a sense of satisfaction. It's both an understanding about yourself and a feeling about yourself at the same time. So it's a sense of satisfaction that you've lived well and you're doing well.
Yes, it is joy. It is absolute joy. It's wonderful because before I moved to New Hampshire, I wasn't sure what I was going to do with my life, and then I got interested in the Atlas Society, and I moved out here to kind of pursue that. And between doing my shows and talking about objectivism all the time, my whole life is talking about objectivism at this point and promoting it, and the sense of pride and joy that I feel I'm able to take care of the everyday average things that I need to take care of. I never have to worry about money. I never have to worry about what I'm going to do with my life and where I'm going to derive that sense of self. I have all those things, and I've got to tell you that Without objectivism, without, all of those values that I hold so dear now, I wouldn't have any of those things. And objectivism has brought me so much more joy and happiness than anything else I can think of in my life.
Well, the
So,
thing, what objectivism does is it gives you the explanation and the justification for the way that you're living and for the values that you're pursuing. So you can feel very confident that you're doing things well. And then if you pay attention to yourself, you also feel that confidence when you're following those values.
agreed, agreed. Now, I want to ask in the last few minutes one more question because I think it's really important. How a lot of people would ask this. So, does pursuing productiveness and pursuing purpose, does that mean that you shouldn't do anything but work? Is man just a workhorse? Should there be any free time? A lot of people ask me this. I mean, this is a common question.
Well, I know, and actually I do know a lot of people who seem to think that that's what they should be doing all the time. But if you look at the big picture, you have to ask yourself, are you working enough that you're able to take care of your needs? On the other hand, are you working so much that all of your needs aren't being taken care of? So can you be happy if not all your needs are being taken care of? If you need to have a relationship with somebody else, a love relationship, and you're not spending any time doing that, is that need being taken care of? Now, it goes back to the kind of conventional talk about work-life balance. But each person has to decide for themselves and know their inner self to know how much they need to be doing their work. I mean, sometimes your work requires you to spend more time on it than in order to get something done than you would and you have to give up doing your other activities. Other times you have more free time and you can do some other activities. So it's all about figuring out what is it that you need and how much time do you have to devote to each aspect of your needs.
Absolutely. I think this all really goes back to, and I think Ayn Rand didn't emphasize it as much. And I know Aristotle was a big influence on her work, but I think that she really did her philosophy a disservice in not talking more about his value of temperance. And I think that it's all about temperance, and it comes back to temperance. And if you don't have a good work personal life value, then you're not going to feel satisfied no matter how hard you work, because you don't have anything for yourself when you leave work. You just, and man cannot constantly be working. It's just, it's not productive to do so. If you take that break when you need it and when you want it, then you're going to come back, you're going to feel rejuvenated, and you're going to feel ready to work harder. And those people are much more productive than anyone that works 24/7.
That's a good point that I meant to make, but I'm glad you brought it up, that you have to pay a lot of attention to when you're working, to when you get to the point where you're too tired or you can't get any farther with whatever you're doing, and give yourself a break. And in fact, it's well known, especially in creative work, that you need to take time away from thinking about it consciously in order to let your subconscious integrate the material and come up with the solutions. I mean, how many people have been working on a problem, they breaking their head over it, and they can't come to the answer, and they go to sleep and they wake up in the morning with the answer because they've let their subconscious work on the problem.
Absolutely, I totally agree. That is exactly the point I was trying to make, is that if you don't give your mind a chance to rest, you can't possibly be productive in the time that you're working. First of all, it's that mental break, it's that release that you need to release your mind, and secondly, you're letting your subconscious deal with some of the things that you can't possibly come to when you're that stressed out.
Sorry.
Because you're tight. So I believe that we've reached the end of the show, unfortunately. We always love having you on, Marsha, and we can't wait to have you on again. And I want to have a further discussion down the line about pride and a deeper discussion about pride, because I think it's really important. And I'm going to put lots of links below to show you what Marsha's been up to, because she's always up to something cool. And it's great having you on. It's great having another woman in this movement. And thank you for all that you do, Marsha. And thank you so much for coming on the
You too, Lauren. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Remember, guys, knowledge is not for all men, but for those who seek it. So keep